Hey, Ray. Let me just turn the light down a little bit low. Get a little bit comfortable. Right, just give me a second just to get a bit more organised. I'm almost there. So I've been wrapping presents. So I've got wrapping paper here and there. I just need to make sure that this light's plugged in, so I don't start dimming. Happy Friday. Hello, Boho Witchy. You all right, sweetheart? So how you doing then, ladies? You doing all right? You doing all right? Survived another week. I got one of these to go in the garden. So when I'm growing stuff, they know I'm growing stuff. So if any of my veg goes, disappears, just saying, I don't think it would. I don't think they would do that, if I'm honest. But if it did, I could just go around here, knock on the door. All right, mate. All right. How you doing, Tez? You all right? Yeah, not bad, not bad. I've got this little wildlife camera from the garden. It's got infrared. You can pick shit up at night and then just watch them squirm and squirm. I hope it doesn't come to that, because you want to try and get your neighbours on side, not make enemies of them. Same applies to anyone on your street. Don't make enemies of anyone on your street. Try and suss them out. Try and get them on side, because we're not going to be able to get through this on our own. It's as simple as that. So this is my copper mug, right? Now the inside of it, it's nice and clean now, look. But it was really, this is going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not just drinking water tonight. I'm Rose Hippie Guy. So I've got some Absolute vodka tonight because it was on special offer with my membership card, my co-op membership card. Not like the Tesco membership card, where even if you pay with cash, so that you think you're being nice and discreet, you're paying with cash, then you use your card and it picks up on everything. So it still makes a log of everything that you've just bought. And then there was I was watching something on X earlier on today, and this chap was saying, I didn't take my phone to Walmart. This is an American guy. I didn't take my phone, didn't take anything, any electronics. And I just went to Walmart to buy just a charging cable for his phone. And he got this text come through on his phone or something like that to say, what do you think of this? So he paid with cash and he didn't have any, how did they know what he just bought from Walmart? So 1984 is kicking in big time. I'm going to have to move their water in there, because I know there's probably some of you guys that get off on seeing me just wanting to smash shit up. I just can't cope with the noise. So it's not good. And I don't go to Tesco's anyway, Right, so going back to the copper thing, because I think this is really, really, really important. Hello, Michael. You all right, brother? Peace, man. Right. So as you know, I'm not a financial advisor. But me personally, I can't imagine why anyone would want to have cash in the bank, spare cash. I think that is insanity now, because we're looking at months. So I just want to go through a few things that I think you'll find really, really interesting. And I only bring things up like this because I give a fuck, you know. I'm not getting anything out of it, as you'll see. So it is getting more and more difficult to get hold of silver 1 ounce coins, right? This isn't going to be boring. I always swear by Britannias. You can't really make that out. That's a Britannia. It got impossible to get hold of Britannias, so I ended up going for an American Eagle. If you can just make that out there. 2 of them. One's a really shiny one because they come in different. It's not going to matter at the end of the day. It's like, well, this one's from 1982, and 1982 was a very interesting year for silver. No one gives a fuck. An ounce of silver will be an ounce of silver. I've got a commemorative sovereign from 1980. Comes in the box, comes with the certificate. You know, if I was to sell that online now, yeah, I would probably get maybe an extra 100 quid for it than I would a normal one, because it's a collectible and it's gold, right? When it comes to silver, no one gives a fuck. Silver is used in industry, medical industry, jewelry. It's going to be a challenge initially to try and get these bastards to slow down or even stop, or even try and prevent maybe these bastards from using arable farmland to create massive solar farms. And solar panels can't exist without silver. Now, the demand at the moment appears to be outweighing what's actually available, physically available. Now, I highly recommend that you don't get anything in principle. So it's like, yeah, well, it says here, it's in a vault. It says here that I've got 0.5 kilo of silver. No, you haven't. Have you fuck? So all of these little slips that everyone's got saying that they own this amount of silver, X amount of silver, it's just like the banks. If everyone went to the bank to draw out every bit of their savings or their pension or anything, if everyone went together and all went to draw their money out, there wouldn't be enough money. The banks would just shut down. So same applies to silver in principle. If you don't own it, you don't have it. Now, I just want to show you something, because this is a big problem. A big problem that's likely to get worse. Which is why I really strongly suggest, if you have bought a little bit of silver, buy one of those little test kits, and maybe just on one of your good coins, instead of defacing it like I have. My dad's bought me a little buffer and sharpener machine, little wheels that you know. Anyway, so I can buffer out the damage that I've done to one of my Britannias, right? Just bear with me on this. Bear with me. It's important. So just do it on the edge, right on the edge, and wait to see if it changes colour. You'll know all about it, and you need to do it a few times so you get used to doing it, so you know what's what. because you don't want someone giving you a silver coin that could be worth 80, 100, 120 quid. It's just going to go up and up and up and up and up. This is going to go up, in my opinion, faster than gold, because it's used in so many areas in the world, in so many different ways. But what's happening at the moment, bear with me. See if I can, so it's not too bright. So you need to buy recognizable coins. Don't get anything that's like, you know, a commemorative something or other, blah, 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 that someone's going to look at and think, I've never seen one of them before. You know, get something that's recognizable. So again, with America, you want to be going for the eagle, like that, look. And the British coins, obviously the Britannia. You know, everyone knows what a Britannia looks like. But you've got the Australian one, which is, you've got a kookaburra. I'd like to try and say that word in about 2 hours' time when I've had some vodkas down me. A kookaburra is it's part of the kingfisher family. It only lives in Australia, right? And then you've got a few others. You've got like you get the idea. So there are recognizable coins, 1 ounce silver coins from most countries, especially English-speaking countries. Okay. Now, silver, I think it's about 51 quid or something now. Well, that's the spot price. And when you get it from a dealer, always get it from a dealer. And this is what I'm trying to go into now. They're going to obviously want to make a profit on the spot value of that coin, right? Even though they're buying it in bulk and getting it cheaper anyway, right? So you're looking at probably around 60 quid now. I bought my first Britannia for 35 quid, all in. Well, that was about 2 years ago. So they've literally sort of almost doubled. Now you go on eBay, right? You can get an Australian kookaburra 1 ounce silver coin. Now let me read out the description. This is what people are seeing that don't know what they're looking for. There's no point in me doing this like this because you can't really see it. I'll read it out to you. 2025 Australian kookaburra 1 ounce, 1 silver, 99.9999 bullion coin in mint capsule, which is that capsule there, just to protect it. £7.59 delivered. Identical looking. Okay. Where was that other one? There's one here. £5.99 delivered. Right. 1 ounce. And this is how it's described in the main description. This is what most people that buy stuff on eBay do. Most people aren't like you. Most people aren't like me. They don't go into the actual item, the see full description bit. Most people don't bother with that. A lot of people. And even less people bother looking at the feedback of the seller. Right? So this one, the way that they've described this in the main description, 1 ounce solid 99.99% silver coin, 2021, Kangaroo, Perth Mint, uncirculated, UK new. So anyone reading that thinks that they're getting a silver coin for £6. Now, because of all the fucking spike protein affecting the frontal cortex, the frontal lobe, they're not using the red. So they're buying these coins as presents for people. So I've got your silver coin here. Put it away for a rainy day. Be worth a fortune in a couple of years. So that person in a couple of years' time, or in 6 months' time, when they're completely and totally on their arse financially, take this coin down to a fucking a jewelry shop, or you know, a pawn shop where people know what they're looking for, stuff like that, and they're going to turn around and go, "It's fake, mate. Silver plated." So they're going to walk away seriously pissed off. And then they're going to tell the person that they bought it from it's fake. And they're going to realize that all of the coins that they gave out to people over Christmas were all fake. Right? And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is that these look so like the real McCoy that we're going to end up with loads of fucking fake coins in circulation. Now, if we want to try and operate in a system outside of the system, we're going to be using stuff like this and smaller silver coins as currency. So the country is going to be flooded with fake fucking coins. Now, I've reported a couple of these eBay sellers to eBay, right? But there are so many on there, so many. You know, that one I did a little video on 2 that I bought. I just thought, oh, you know, that's quite cheap. That is. It wasn't massively cheap, but it was significantly cheap enough for me to be thinking, but I know I'm covered. So if I get them and they're fake, which they were, then I'm covered. I can just keep the coins, chuck them in the bin, whatever, you know, and I've got my money back that I can put towards a proper coin, you know. So always go through dealers. Always. You are going to pay a premium for it, but you're paying a premium for a metal that is only going to appreciate and appreciate and appreciate and appreciate and appreciate. It's going to go up, 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 up. It's going to surpass any previous records of value. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. You do what you want to do. All you need to do is a little bit of research, just a little tiny weeny bit. You know, 5-10 minutes from different places, different angles, places that have got a reputation. And you'll understand where I'm coming from. Gold, you know, gold. I mean, the sky could be the limit. So the point, apart from the silver, so you should. All I'm saying is, you should just be aware. I wouldn't bother buying anything from eBay. Anything that claims to be silver for an amazingly fantastic price. We all know if it's too good to be true, you know, we're not stupid. We've got a combined incredible amount of common sense between us, you know, but that doesn't apply to everyone out there. Let me just catch up on the chat first, and then I'll carry on. Drinking. I've always struggled, Ray, with being able to pronounce that Polish. Is it Polish? Yeah, it's Polish lager. Very nice lager. Tisk, I think it is. Tisky or Tisky? Titty? Not Titty. I don't know where that came from. Too early for that shit. But yeah, you're right, Michael. Absolute vodka is absolutely lovely. It's very clean. You know, you can tell it's a better quality. So just please just avoid going on eBay. Go through a dealer, right? I can name a couple of dealers, right? I'm not affiliated. If I was affiliated, if I was making something, if I was going to get some sort of commission, anything like that, you know me. I tell you, I would. So, yeah, let me just carry on with this. Cash in the bank is at high risk. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's worthless now. It's all basically what's happened is you've got stock out there that's extremely overvalued, and it's overvalued on purpose to make everything look like it's okay, because they don't want people doing bank runs. They've been done before. You know, there's been a few banks that have closed down and people started panicking. Was it Castle Rock or Castle something like that? But I think there's about 4 or 5 banks that closed down. People just went, oh fuck, you know. And they say that you're insured up to a certain amount, so that no matter what happens, they can still pay you out a certain amount. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, as you will find out if you don't take steps now. Hey up, Lana. Oh, I'm glad you could join us, sweetheart. Wasn't sure if you'd be in or not. Thanks for joining us, sweetheart. Much appreciated. Terry, you gave me some sound advice. A 1 kilogram bar of copper for £35 plus from Cardiff Gold. Cheers, mate. Mate, do you know what? Right from the start, I've always said we need to help each other, and we need to help each other for free. Give each other sound advice for free. This is why I get pissed off about all of these channels that all of the really, really useful information that could help us all is all behind a fucking paywall. That's why I never monetized. So we should be helping each other for free. The amount of knowledge that I've gained from you guys, you know, it's helped me out a lot, and hopefully vice versa. So if you didn't jump into the gold market, say 3 years ago, when you could get a sovereign for 350 quid, now you're looking at about 700 quid. So in 2 years, that's doubled in price. So anyone that invested all of their money into gold 3 years ago have literally doubled their money. But not literally, because gold is an indicator of how bad cash is doing. It's always been an indicator. But because everyone's grabbing it now, it's becoming less and less and less available, you know? So that's driving the price up. People are panicking, and rightly so. So if you can't afford to buy gold at £700 for a sovereign, and you can't afford 60 quid, 65 quid for a 1 ounce silver coin, then your next best. Again, I've got to keep saying I'm not a financial advisor. You know, it's so fucking sad that I have to even say that. It's just there's a lot of people out there that have got no common sense. You know, I'm so glad that I mentioned what was going on eBay, because that is a massive problem. It's bad enough to the point where, you know, I fucking hate the police. You know, can't stand them. Can't stand them. We don't need them, right? But I am gonna probably contact the police tomorrow and just put this down as a crime, because it is a crime. It is, because it's going to make things more complicated for us further down the line, unless you've got some sort of acid testing kit, or you know what you're looking for visually, you know. And we don't want the market being flooded with the very currency that we're going to be needing to use outside of the system, the beast system that's incoming. Because it's doable, we can do it. I'm telling you, if I didn't think we could do it, I'd tell you, it's probably not looking good. You know, I don't feel like that. I feel 100% confident, but it'll have its teething problems, but we'll get there. So I am quite tempted to, I don't know why I keep showing you my phone, you know, but there are loads of sellers. Some of those sellers will be the same seller, but with just different, you know, they get caught out, then set up another account. And all eBay does is shut that account down. They just pop up another one, shut that one down because of people like me that know what they're doing. And then they open another one. That gets shut down. It's like fucking whack-a-mole. It's cunt whack-a-mole. So I am going to report this to the police because it's going to cause problems for us. So if you can't afford 60, 70, 80, you know, by the end of the year, you could be looking at 100 quid, 150 quid. You know, no one thought that they would be costing what they're costing now. But they certainly will not depreciate. But if gold is out of your reach now, if silver is out of your reach now, then maybe consider copper. Now, this is what a kilo of copper looks like. It is very, very, very heavy. And it's got the certification on the back of it. You can't really make it out on the camera. And it comes completely backpacked because if you expose it to air, it can oxidize. Again, this is why I'm drinking out of my mug. One was to sort of segue into this, right? But it was also because I finally cleaned out the middle of it because it does oxidize and it looks chatty. And when it oxidizes really badly, and you fill it up with water to go to bed with, you're not getting very much copper out of the mug and into your body. Let me just move their water. I'm sorry, it's going to drive me fucking crazy. Come on, darling. Come on. So the only two dealers that I would give, the good thing about Cardiff Gold is that they do copper. You know, you can buy bricks of the stuff. Copper, just like silver, is needed in electronics. Maley Pink Blood Orange Gin is lush. I do love a blood orange gin because you can taste the blood orange. You can taste it. It's lovely. Really, really nice. Not as nice as my homemade sloe gin, but not bad. Not bad. Nipping to the shop, but we'll listen on headphones until I get back. All right, brother. I've recently inherited my grandma's old golden coin collection. Whoa. I would not, you know, I would just a bit over enthusiastic there, granted, right? But I would love to get my nose in there. I really would, because I love old coins, you know, especially if they're gold. You see, this is the thing. There's a draw. There's some sort of magnetism to gold. It's not a greed thing, not necessarily, you know, not for me. But there is some sort of magnetism there, and that magnetism has been there for thousands and thousands of years. You know, look at the Aztecs, you know. So a lot of people think that the Aztecs just got gold because of healing properties and stuff like that. That might be true, but I think it's more likely that they realized how rare it was and that magnetism, you know. So it's mad that a tiny little coin that's that big, literally that big, right, and that thick, can be worth 700 quid. Maybe in a year's time, that could be worth 2 grand. Seriously, because everyone's snatching it up. So if you think that 700 quid is a lot of money, and it is, especially for working class people like us, it's a lot of money. I can't afford to buy another sovereign. I can't. But I'm also aware that if that goes up to, if a sovereign goes up to, say, 2 or even 3 or even 4 grand, which is not beyond the realms of possibilities, believe me, right? How are you going to be able to use a coin that's worth that much? So that's one thing to take into account. Another thing is you can't eat it. Well, you can. It won't kill you. You might choke on it. You could dissolve it into, or you could chip it up into tiny little gold flakes, put it into a mug of water, neck it. It wouldn't do you any harm. You know, it's incredible stuff. So big denominations like that are not going to be very practical for people like us. But you do need to take into account that smaller denominations, like a half sovereign, for example, or a quarter sovereign, for example, they're going to be a lot easier to be able to trade with. But even then, if a quarter of a sovereign's worth, say, 500 quid, the fuck are you going to do with that? Can I have a pint of milk, loaf of bread, 20 fags, please, bottle of vodka. Got change for 500 quid? No. So my advice from a non-financial advisor perspective would be to maybe just head towards silver and copper, because none of them are going to depreciate. None of them. They're both needed. Look at the house around you. You're almost encased in massive chunks of copper. You know, you have a look at your fuse box, wherever your fuse box is, or if you've taken an old light switch fitting out and fitted a new one. Those copper cables are thick. They're thick as fuck. 2 reasons why in plumbing they don't really use copper anymore. A, because they're greedy little bastards, plumbers. Not all of them, but the majority of them. Copper piping in plumbing is the best you could ever have, because as that water's flushing through the copper piping, you're getting that copper into your body, and you're electrical. You are. You wouldn't be able to think without electricity, because your brain's firing neurons. They rely on electricity, and a bit more copper in you, you're going to be, well, it's common sense. Let me just make sure I don't get behind. So I've recently inherited my granddad's old golden coin collection. Where do I go to not get ripped off? Go to 3 different jewelers. The rule of 3. It's a powerful number. So go to 3 different jewelers and get each coin appraised. Write everything down as they're going, right, okay, that one's worth that much. All right. You know, you get the idea. Then go to another jeweler's, get them appraised again. Then go to another jeweler's and get them appraised again. But go to jewelers in different towns, because if you've got if you've got, you know, jewelers all in one small town, so you've got 3 jewelers in one small town, there is a chance they're all going to know each other. Right, there's someone coming over with a load of coins. This is how much I've said they're worth for this, that, and that. Give them around the same price. We don't know. We just don't know. You just to be sure, Ray, go to 3 different. It's going to work. It's going to be worth it because it's fucking gold. You know, and if they're gold coins, they're probably 24 karat. I don't think they ever made any coins that weren't 24 karat. So, you know, and if you've got any scales that are really, really sensitive that can pick up on, you know, micrograms, right, then weigh them yourself and then have a look online to see how much that combined amount of weight of gold is worth. So there is, you know, it might be worth shelling out 20 quid. You can pick up some really sensitive scales for a £5, but they're a bit hit and miss. You don't want to be hit and miss when it comes to 24 karat gold coins, especially if they've got a little bit of sentimental value. You know, your granddad wouldn't want you to be. Did you say your granddad? Yeah, your granddad wouldn't want you to get ripped off. He'd want you to get the best of them. You know, 3 different jewelers, 3 different towns. It will all be worth the cost of even getting a taxi from one town to another, you know, because you'll get it back and then spend it well, lass. Hello, Jordan. You all right, brother? Thanks for joining us, matey. I hope you've had a good week. You know, again, another week survived. No problem. Hello, Dave. You all right, matey? Thanks for joining us, my friend. Much appreciated, as always. I'm still very pissed off at 2 of my nieces due to silver. The thieving cows looted my dad's coin collection after he died earlier this year. I'm so sorry, Dave. You know, you see, when my mum died, I have, you know, 6 of us. Everyone was like, I want that ring, I'm having that, I want that, I want that, I'm having that, I'll have the washer, I'll have the dryer, you know. I'm the second oldest. I came in, grabbed the plants, the cheapest ring that had glass, no precious stone, and a rug. And then off I went. Plants. They needed a new home. It's life. And I'm green fingered. And I love life. So I gave them a good home. So that's what happens when you're a non-materialistic person. You know, I mean, there's me saying I'm a non-materialistic person, and I'm showing you, I'm going on, you know, I'm sat here like fucking Scrooge McDuck, you know, oh, precious. But I'm not like that. The thing is, I have got a pension. I have got funds in that pension that I can't touch yet. As far as I'm concerned, I've kissed that goodbye. And if I did have a massive pension, which I haven't, I'd probably kiss goodbye to that as well. But that's me. Some people might think a bit negative, you know, might not be that bad. You might get to access your pension. But my pension is tied up in cash. I'm 53. Am I 53? Fuck me. Am I 53? I'm either 52 or 53. I'll get back to you. That's not good. So, but yeah, just going back to you, Dave. I'm really sorry about that, brother. You know, this isn't. You get to, one of the most incredible silver linings that doesn't feel like a silver fucking lining at the time, right? Is when you lose someone in the family, because you get to see who is what. You get to figure out who the fucking vultures are, you know, because you go through the pain of losing someone that you were close with or close to. But you get to see what's what, and then all of a sudden you know exactly where you stand. You know exactly who to fuck off out of your life and who to hold on to. You know, just my opinion. So if I was to give you a bit of advice on that, mate, is just don't have anything to do with them ever again. Fuck them off. They've shown their colours. Move on and let it go. That would be my advice. I've got about 25 coins. Ray, do you want to come round? Where do you live? If you had 25 sovereigns, if they were all sovereigns, which is unlikely. I mean, he might have just been a collector. He might have a tuppence or that didn't sound right, because that tuppence is slang for something else, isn't it? A woman's bits, you know. She's selling her tuppence, you know, when you're a kid, you know, or a Mary. Who the fuck calls a fanny a Mary? Where the fuck did that come from? But anyway, he could have collected loads of just like odd, you know, rare coins, like a sixpence. I mean, a sixpence has got silver in it. So if you've got any sixpences there, save them. Save the sixpences, because they'll be worth fuck all now, really, because they're not 100% silver. They're about half and half. I think is it silver and nickel? Let me just double check. This is important because we all need to know this, because these are all coins that are going to be really, really valuable and really, really useful for us moving forward. Unless you want to get caught up in the digital beast system, the digital slavery system. How much silver is in a sixpence? Right. Well, obviously this is what happened. And this happened during the Roman times, and it's happened in recent times, and every time in between, right? The more damaged an economy becomes, the more or the less precious metals they put in the coins, right? So a sixpence, if it's pre-1920, you're looking at 92.5% sterling silver. That's pretty impressive. 1920 to 1946, down to 50%. 1947 and after, no silver. None. You see what I mean? This is how they do it. See, the pound coins and the £2 coins and the pound coins you've got in your pocket, they're worth fuck all. Nothing. About 5 pence. But because they're recognisable as a pound coin and a £2 coin, as cash, your shop recognises them. They don't know anything, most of them. And it just makes it a lot easier for them to deal with, you know, the denominations of the cash that we know today, which is useless and worthless. But that is not worthless. That will just gain value more and more and more and more, you know, significantly. and so will copper. So as Michael mentioned earlier on, 35 quid plus maybe £7 delivery, and you get a kilo of copper. Now, copper's going to go up and up and up and up, but it's not going to go up in the same way that silver or gold will, because it's not silver or gold, but it'll still go up. It's a rainy day metal. But yeah, 25 coins, Ray, that's pretty impressive. Some of them dating back to the 1800s. Oh, that's what you want, you know? I don't think that they started to skimp on coins in the 1800s, if memory serves me right. So you should have some decent coins there, you know? I just hope there's some sovereigns in there, because it'll help you out financially. You know, it's just you can use it as a nest egg. Just put it away, just hide it, you know? Bury it somewhere, or put it under your mattress. Be creative, and then just leave a little kind of note to someone in case anything happens to you, or fuck them all. Let the gold go back to nature. You know, that's your choice. Copper wire is higher grade than copper pipes. Yes, it is. It is. It has to be for the job at hand. This is really good quality copper that I've bought. But yeah, it needs to be. You know, you want to be able to turn the light on and for the lights to go on instantly. You need everything to go on instantly, because if there's a delay or some sort of again, but then you've got surge control in your in a modern. Anyway, I'm waffling. It's higher grade than copper pipes. I went through a phase many years ago where I'd strip it from derelict buildings low. Dave, naughty boy, been there, done that. They were derelict, you know, derelict, and I mean derelict. And this is going back a long time. You know, a lot of people didn't think about going in, stripping a derelict's house of radiators, you know, for scrap. Copper, all the cabling, just literally pull it, and you've got lines of the plaster, of the fucking plaster coming away as you're pulling but that was a very long time ago. Too long to nick me for now. But it was a nice little earner. But copper wasn't worth anything near what it's worth now. They're only just managing to keep on top of demand. Just. They are not managing to keep on top of demand of silver. Three more years and I'm cashing in my pension when it becomes available before the government raids it low. I take it you're about my age then, Dave. Yeah, I was thinking of doing the same, but I don't think it'll be available to me in 3 years' time. You know, I think we'll be the entire country will be at war. We've got some really, really, really fucked up, crazy times ahead of us, which is why we need to prepare. And you see that's the other angle, right? That silver, although it's actually very, very beneficial to the body, colloidal silver, for example, oral, you still can't eat. You can't really eat it. Again, it won't do you any damage, you know. Although if you have too much silver, there is a condition that you can, anyway, right? So you can't actually really eat it. You can't get any sustenance from it. So it's just a chunk of metal. So there's one side of us that's thinking, right, we need to plan ahead to make sure that we can have some sort of viable financial sustenance further down the line, because we can all see where this is going. But then on the flip side, do we spend it on things that we're going to need whilst we can? You know, balance. 100% let the vultures be how they are. They show the true colours, mate. Once they've shown the true colours, you know, it's very, very rare that leopards change their spots. To show what they are. And, you know, I've turned my back on so many people. You know, I used to have quite a big friendship circle, you know. It's tiny now. Tiny. But I'm happier. Because I know what's what. And I've got new friends that have come into my life now as well that are on my level, you know, that know what's what, which is really important. You need to be able to relate to the people that I know it's a bit different, a bit more different with family. If you've got a mum or dad that's just, you know, it's like, I don't want to listen, and I don't want to listen to any of that. It make no sense, you know. I'm watching EastEnders, right? They're still your mum, they're still your dad, you know. Friends, you can choose your friends. There's many men with a tuppence now. Oh, it took me a while to get down to that, mate, but I do believe it was worth it. Thank you very much for that little chuckle. Oh dear. Watch out for silver dollars. They are only 90% pure. Yeah. If I was to recommend a silver coin to anyone, it would be a Britannia. You know, that's why out of any silver that I've got, there are only 3 ounces of silver that I've got that are not Britannias. And that is because they ran out of Britannias. So I opted for the American Eagle, right? Which is equivalent to a $1 1 ounce silver coin, right? I'm aware that they are, no offense to any Americans that might be listening, you know, the Britannia is superior as far as silver content is concerned, purity. And again, and they beat Australia, they beat New Zealand, they beat Canada. You know, they've got the maple version of our Britannia. The Britannias are the best. The dog's bollocks. They're British. Bit biased, I know. So just very briefly going back to the coins again, because we need to be coming up with some other currency that's backed. You know, cash is not backed by fuck all. You know, Gordon Brown made sure of that, right? And then the 1972 change from old money to decimalisation, right? Where it went from 201 pence to the pound to 100 pence to the pound almost overnight, and no one did a fucking thing. No one said anything. No one kicked off about the fact that their money had just lost half of its value overnight. You couldn't make this shit up. So yeah, going back to coins. Look, you can't go into a shop. Again, the whole shop thing, you know. If things continue to degrade and go downhill and fall apart on a societal level, these shops and supermarkets are going to end up getting stripped. So you're going to end up relying on your preps and foraging and defending your home. These are all things you need to take into account. But I do think that is, you know, far enough away for you not to worry about at the moment, to be honest. in my opinion, for what it's worth. So getting the problem is that if you can buy a sovereign for 700 quid now, right? But you can buy a half sovereign for 450 quid, right? So you put a half sovereign for 450 quid, say 400 quid if you're lucky, right? 400 quid, and another half sovereign for 400 quid. That's 800 quid. Whereas you can get a full sovereign for 7. Now, a quarter sovereign, 300 quid. So that's 900 quid to make it up to a full sovereign, when you can get a full sovereign for 700 quid. So you are losing out by getting smaller denominations. But smaller denominations are going to be easier to trade with. So as far as gold is concerned, you know, you do what you need to do. But as far as silver is concerned, it is definitely worth investing in smaller denomination silver coins, pure silver coins. Because if silver goes as far as a lot of people are saying it's going to, including myself, then even a 1 ounce silver coin that's worth 60, 70 quid is going to be worth 200 quid. You know, when people haven't got any change. So there's a pro and a con to using smaller denominations in silver and gold. The con, you're losing out. You're paying more for the coin. You're getting less gold for your money, right? But it's going to be broken down, so it's going to be easier to use further down the road. So even if you ended up spending, you know, 300 quid, 250 quid maybe for a quarter sovereign, that quarter sovereign in 2 years' time could be worth 700 quid, 800 quid, £1,000. So you're still going to be stuck with the same problem. Silver is the way. And even when you look at 1 gram ingots of silver, which are about 15 quid, it's still a much smaller denomination. It's recognizable. It's testable if you've got to get yourself a little acid test kit, right? And you can trade with that. It's a lot easier to trade with little 1 gram solid silver ingots. But make sure you get them from reputable places. And most places like Chards of Blackpool, for example, again, I'm not affiliated with any of these places. You can get a kilo in these, which would be 100 of these fuckers. So if you get 100 separate 1 ounce silver Britannias, you'll still pay the same postage as you would if you were buying 2 or 1. 6 quid. Same postage. These are all variables that everyone needs to take into account moving forward. 52. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm 52 or 53, mate. I think I'm 53 this year. When was your birthday, Dave? This is so embarrassing. You know, I think it might be down to the fact that I don't really give a fuck about my age anymore because it doesn't really matter. I think that's what it is. That's how my brain has started to develop to the point where it doesn't really hold on to irrelevant information anymore. It doesn't really matter how old I am. How relevant is it? You know? Yeah, I can be 25 when I want to be, mate. I'm cashing in my pension now. You're too young for that, Ray. Yeah, we all need it now. It's better to be in your hands, though, Ray, than theirs. Bankers, again, you know, did you ever do that when you were kids? Say bankers like that. Bankers. That's what they are. Because the bankers rule the world, right? Who are the bankers? You know? As you know, I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious in any way. I'm a spiritual man, but I'm not religious. But in the Bible, it's, you know, it was clear. The rule was, as a Christian, you cannot loan money to your friend with interest, right? It's unchristian. You can't do it. It goes against Christianity, right? That's where the Jews jumped in there. The Jews are all about that. Money and power. And 3-year-old kids. Not all of them, just saying. It's in the Talmud. Or Talmud. However you want to fucking pronounce it. It's sick either way. So it's better off in your hands than it is in the bank, Ray. That's all I'm saying. Just bought an alcohol distiller. Thanks for your video. Oh, honestly, Kathy, I'm dead chuffed that you've got one. You know, because you've got the potential now, or the ability, the literal ability to distill water from. You can go and collect rainwater, even if it's been, you know, if there've been cloud seeding and geoengineering and, you know, choking up our skies with fuck knows what, that ends up turning into cumulus clouds and then raining down all these sick, fucked up chemicals and heavy metals. You know, you can still collect all that water up in buckets from your garden, or in you know, your rainwater catchment system. What are they called? I've got a system going on out there, and I've forgotten what they're called. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter, because when you distill it, all the crap, any chemicals, any particles, all left in the bottom. What comes out is pure water. And then you just add your Celtic sea salt, your Himalayan pink rock salt, your Mediterranean sea salt, add your own in there. Golden, you know. I've got a river and a canal down the road. I can go down there in the depth of the dark, you know, in the middle of the night. 5 litres, come back home, you know, and then just distill it over an open fire if I have to. And just whilst we're on the subject of water, and then we'll move on. I don't know if any of you knew this, but Bear Grylls, not a fan. Dramatic little prick that's giving advice out that's not good advice. And when I say dramatic, he's like, right, I've got a right thirst on. If I don't get a drink right now, I'm going to fucking die. You know, where he's got a camera crew all around him, fucking camera crew, all drinking water. Like, ruin this shot. So you can drink your own piss. Well, you can't and you can, right? If you drink your own piss straight from, obviously not straight from, you know, I mean, I'm not fucking double jointed. But if you know, piss into a cup and then neck it, you're going to fuck yourself up, because you'll dehydrate 2 to 3 times faster. Your liver and your kidneys have worked their bollocks off to remove all of the impurities from the water you've been drinking and any other fluid that you might get from certain food that you might eat. And then that goes into your urethra, or your Franklin, as I like to call it, your urethra Franklin. And you piss it out. You piss out all of the impurities. However, if you piss into a distiller, you're going to get pure evaporated water out of that, and all of the impurities will be left in the distiller. So yes, you can drink your own piss, but not straight from, So for future reference, don't drink your piss, Most of the water that comes out of your tap has been through an average of 9-10 people. Nice thought, isn't it? But it is a distiller. What size did you get, Kathy? Just wondered, because mine is a bit too big. I do wish I'd gone for a smaller size, but it is what it is, and I'll make do with it, make the most of it, and get my head around it. It's not a problem. 30 litres, it is a bit much, but I can shower with that without getting, because you wouldn't believe what your body absorbs, your skin, the biggest organ on the body, right? It absorbs so much shit. It's unreal. So when you have a shower, the average shower, if you've been drinking filtered water or distilled water and adding your own salts, your own minerals to it, that's great. That's brilliant. And that's how everyone should be doing. That's what everyone should be doing now. In fact, everyone should be charging the fucking water company for the cost of doing that to make it drinkable. And you can do that. I haven't done that yet. I'll put my hands up. I haven't, but it's on my list. But then when you go for a shower or a bath, that water, all the shit that's in that water is being absorbed into your skin. So if I can distill 30 litres of water, that's 2 days, 4 days. 4 days shower, all I need to drink, all I need to cook. 4 days. Because I've got about 4 or 5. One's not enough. You know what I'm like? I've got a camping shower. You basically, it's black. You fill it up. It's got about 8 litres. 6. One of them, 2 of them are 6. Right? Fill them up with water, distilled water. During the summer or even during the winter, put it in your warm room, southwest facing window. Let the sunbeams come in when we get some fucking sun, and that will heat up the water in your camping shower. Hang it where your shower is normally, or your shower head, and just have a shower that way with clean water, pure water. Have you got a light, boy? (1973). I was born in 1972. Right. Can someone do the maths for me and tell me how old I am? Never, ever, ever thought I would ever say that on a fucking live stream. How old am I? I was born in October 1972. Help me out. I can't be asked to do the maths. My brain's going off in loads of different directions. And Michael was born in 1966, the last time we won the World Cup. 1966 was a big year for a lot of things, Michael, as was 1972 when I was born. Hello, Eric. Good to see you, mate. MDMA and acid. I did dabble, I'm one of these people that I was experimental, I was a raver. I loved raving. I loved it. It was peace, love, music, and unity. you know, but it was artificial love. But hey, love's love, apparently. But I've never lost my shit. I've done that with other people. I've ended up babysitting people because they just couldn't handle it, you know, which is probably why I'm still sat here. MDMA and DMT were delicious too, lol. Acid! Oh, where's my key? Where's my key ring? I've got an acid face and the Saltes flag. It's called the Saltes flag. And whenever I go to the caravan, I raise the Saltes flag. We have arrived. And it's an acid face. You know? Saltes. Sally and Tez. And it's an acid face. Very sentimental. I'm not into water sports. Are you being dirty, Ray? Are we talking about golden showers here? 53. Am I 53, Lana? Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I was hoping I was 52. You know? Do you know what, Lana? This was the one and only occasion where I wish you'd fucking lied to me. Go away. How do I block her? No, she's still here. I'm only joking, sweetheart. You know me. Eric Sania is 54. See, we're all around the same age group, more or less, hovering around 50. You know, so we've all had a very similar kind of upbringing. We've kind of you're a sweetheart, Lana. We've gone from pre-tech and going out and playing in nature and on swings that we built and, you know, fucking swimming in rivers and, you know, just building dens and all sorts of shit out with our friends, out on our bikes, you know, playing Bulldog and Kirby and all that. We were out. We interacted with each other. That's why we are the way we are. You know, everywhere you look now, that. Everywhere. It's like some sort of dystopian sci-fi fucking nightmare. We are the last of the generations. Look at, again, you know I'm not religious, but if I was, I would see nature as God and technology as Satan. Look at how much damage it's done already. It's done, and it's continuing to do so. And AI is turning people's brains to mush. That's why I formed the term grok-tard. You know, 5 years ago, I was using retard, tard all the time. And I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable about it because I know people were a little bit, well, you shouldn't say that word. In fact, there was an American guy that said, I was driving down the road and someone used the R word. The R word. Like, he can't even say retard. But in the last 5 years, every fucker's saying it. And I like to think that maybe I had a part in saying that because it's not necessarily an insult to people with learning disabilities. I worked with people with learning disabilities for 17 years of my life. And I would never disrespect them. I love that job, you know? It applies to everyday people, you know? Tommy tards, grok tards, fuck tards, tards everywhere. And then there's us that are going to light the way. So hopefully they won't stay tards forever. What do you call a Chinese man with one leg? Taiwan Shu. Do you know what? I love dad jokes, and I do try and be armed with a few, you know, but I've got none. I've got none. I'm sorry, you know. That is a good one. I do like that. Thank you, Eric. I'm assuming you're a bloke. You're not an Erica. Just curious. I do like that. I love shit jokes because shit jokes are funny, you know, because they're very British. But I tend not to retain them very well. That's why I do listen. Sometimes I'll listen to loads of like jokey videos and stand-up comedy and stuff like that, and I'll try and remember a few and then just drop them in here and there as I go through the video, you know, through the live stream. But I can't remember any of them. They're all gone. Yeah, you don't look 49 there, Lana. You look 48 and a half, you know, maybe even 48. You see long flowing hair, you know. I remember when I used to be able to do that with my mullet, you know. All of this was shaved all the way back to there, and then I just had this loads of long flowing hair. Nah, did I fuck? Me hop. Oh dear. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This is gonna get this is gonna get bad. This is. Go on, Dave. Let's think. Oh, I thought it was going to get risky, you know, because I know some really dark fucking jokes, really dark. But I'm not gonna risk it for a biscuit. But I do need to go for a wee. Bear with me. I love a wee. You know, I do. Who doesn't love a wee? You know, you really. It's always when I get to the edge of the drive. I've took the girls out for a walk. You know, I get to the edge of the driveway, but on the walk, I wish I'd gone for a wee before I come out. You know, but it's all right. It's fine. You know, but when you get back, the closer you get to the front door, right, the more desperate you become. It's like, okay, we're home now. It's time to have a piss. No, it's not. No, it's not. You know, and your fucking front door lock turns into a 5D fucking headfuck puzzle. You know, please open, please open, please open. Oh no. Oh no. That doesn't happen. I'm not there yet. Oh dear. D minus for Dave. He's giving it a go though. Where's the lady who got a distiller? I want to know what size she got. You know, I'd love to know, because it's such a good investment. It really is. If you can afford it. Look, we've already gone through. It's like 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. You know, water's so important. We're between 70 and 80% water. And again, then there's the water consciousness thing, where you can affect water with intention. And this is a fact. This is scientific fact. You know, there are people out there that, no, it's pseudoscience. Fuck off. I know what I know. I'm not stupid. I've seen the evidence and it's impressive. So if you can do the water using the rice thing, you know, with love, hate, ignore, 3 jars, 30 centimeters apart, love, project love into that rice with that water, project love with that rice, hate with that rice and that water, and then just ignore the rice and that water. And within 2 months or 6 weeks, right, the rice that you've projected love onto looks edible. It looks edible. So jars from the same shop, rice from the same shop, water from the same tap. How do you explain that? You look at the one that you project fucking hatred onto, it's all black and rancid and moldy. And the ignore one is pretty much the same. That's water. You're 70 to 80% water. So learn to love yourself. What's the difference between a truck full of beach balls? This is so fucking random. Oh no, this is what I'm saying. I knew it was going to get dark. I felt it. What's the difference between a truck full of beach balls and a truck full of babies? You can't unload the beach balls with a pitchfork. See? Blood clot ESP. I knew that was coming. Oh, I tell you what, Dave, you're going to make yourself unpopular with the ladies, because women are different to blokes. You know, they haven't got the same sort of sense of humour. What catches my eye is small people with umbrellas. Been carrying that one since school playground. You learned that at school? Fuck me. What sort of school did you go to? School of Satan? Yeah, I went to a special school. Oh, did you? You struggled to learn? No. I'm just evil. Oh, okay. What school did you go to? School of Satan. Oh, that's the end of the conversation, isn't it? You don't want to know where to fucking go from there. But anyway, yeah, Dave, mate, I've got a very, very dark sense of humour, and it is very, very British. There are lots of aspects of Britain, of Great Britain, because a country is only as great as the people within it. And we are a great nation. We are. Again, we had the biggest. We had the most reach and the most control, which isn't it. It had its dark elements, granted. I'm just trying to sort of go into history just very briefly. When they said that the sun never set on the British Empire, it's because we owned 70% of the world landmass. So we were infiltrated by an ideology that's been kicked out of every single country for the last 1,000 years. And because we wouldn't play ball with them, they manipulated. This is probably a conversation for another time. All I'm saying is that the powers that were manipulating things back then are in overdrive now. And it's just very, very unfortunate that so many people can't see it. And you end up getting called something like an anti-Semite. But one thing you need to remember, if you don't mind, is that whenever your government turns around to you and says, or comes out with a term like anti-Semite or Islamophobe, it's in defense because you're right. And I will argue that to the death. So that's why we don't have the the British colonies all over the world anymore. We don't have that, and that was because of them. I've learned a lot about history, but I've not just read something. Oh, that's it then. I've gone deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Again, a lot of people go down a lot of rabbit holes and don't come back the same. I've been down some rabbit holes that have really rocked me, but I've leveled out. Well, a lot of people won't or don't. I like you, Eric. I don't think I've seen you pop up in the live streams before, but I like you. Right. Okay. That must have been tough, Dave. My school was full of urchins and oiks, and that included me. What? Right. So I don't actually know what an urchin or an oik is, and now I feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I've lost out on something here, like you guys are talking some language that I don't know. My school was extremely multicultural, extremely. But even though I saw colour, I noticed that David McClarty was like 6'5" and amazing at football, right? I noticed that Wallacey had a turban on and was brown. I noticed all that, but it didn't seem to matter, But it fucking matters now. But yeah, my primary school, my first primary school was very multicultural, and then we ended up moving to up to Durham, up to Peterlee, County Durham, and there was one black kid. That was it. In fact, he was mixed race from America. So, he wasn't born here. He wasn't even, yeah. So spent about 3 years up there. And when I came back down again to the same school, because it was a nursery, infants and juniors all in the same school, Bentinck it was called, in Radford. When I came back down, my handwriting was just off the charts compared to, it was very different up there. It's very strange. You would I think that the school, the education system, the indoctrination camps are the same all over the UK now. I think they're all in lockstep. They're all uniform now. But when I was a kid, it was very different. North to south was very different, you know, and then south to Midlands was different. Midlands to north was different. Scotland was probably different to, you know, the north of England, you know, very different, but everything's the same now. It's all in lockstep to corrupt children's minds, fuck them up, get them when they're young, which is why I get so angry about parents that are tolerating what their kids are being taught at school. I've got a hatred for the teachers. I've got a hatred for my government. But most of my anger is aimed at the parents of the children because they're allowing all this to happen. Your children should be your number one priority above anything, above yourself, not above yourself. Yourself is the most important thing, because without yourself being strong and optimal, your kids will be fucked. With you being strong and optimal, your kids will be okay. Or at least that's the way it should be. But no, they're allowing their kids to go to school. Okay, everyone got a prayer mat? Yeah, Michael, you haven't got one. There's one there, look. That's it. Okay, right, lay your prayer mats out. We're going to pray to Allah. We all ready? All right then, let's begin. It's fucking wrong. And that's what's happening. And then just starting to teach the basics of sex education to 3-year-olds. Now, don't you find that strange that they're starting to teach kids at 3 about sex, when in the Talmud, which is one of the Jewish books, their main book, that about child brides, 3 years and 1 day old. Another crazy coincidence. That probably means nothing, but hey ho. Hello, Sal Misra. Mandy. How you doing, sweetheart? Ooh, have you got something wrong with your hand? A bit carried away there. Lovely to see you, sweetheart. Thanks for joining us. Urchins and oiks are generally working class kids who are rough and ready. That is British. You know? That is what I can consider to be the salt of the earth. You know? Who's that Cockney comedian who's like, he's like something along the lines of, right, everyone, class full of kids, what do you all want to do then? Right? What do you want to do when you leave school? What do you want to do? One of the kids put their hands up and they go, I want to drive a van. And all the other kids start laughing. They're like, fuck off. No one from this class is ever going to be able to go out and drive a fucking van. You're a bit above your level, mate. But we are. We're real. You know, we're real. This is why they're losing their grip at the top, is because they're out of touch with the real world, with real people. And it's real people, working class, that make up the vast majority of the world. You know, the significant population of this planet or this world or whatever you want to think or believe are working class, so people that are kind of thinking, right, we need to budget for this, we need to budget for that, you know? These people that are trying to manipulate the world, they're out of touch with reality, which is why they're losing their grip a little bit, which means they're going to get going harder and harder and tougher, because they cannot lose what they've got, and they'll do whatever it takes to hold on to it. And we need to make sure that we do whatever it takes to make sure that we stay free. Whenever I say stay free, I think of that cunt along here who's, what's his name, Lana, again? How's the scales? You're not a fucking fish, are you, Mandy? I've seen you. You don't look like one. Oh, all right, yeah. Looks like I'm stuck in this snake form forever. Oh, I love that. There's a perfect emoji for that. Latchkey kids of the 70s and 80s allowed this to happen. I don't know what that means. I feel like I should know, but I don't. And I'd like to just, before we carry on, I need to just say that I made a fuck up in one of my posts. When I'm wrong, I put my hands up. So Enoch Burke, who's this Irish teacher in Ireland, who refused to go along with some stupid fucking kid who wanted, I'm not a he, I'm a her. The whole they, them shit. He refused to go along with that. It was a Catholic school. He was a Catholic man. Regardless of your views on Catholicism, I've got the same views as you have. It's all fucked up and dark. But he did follow the kind of the light, middle of the road aspects of Catholicism, right? And this was a Catholic school. So this goes against every fiber of his being. So he refused to go along with this child's ridiculous, fucking stupid imagination. And they sacked him, right? And then not only did they sack him, they froze his I think he had about 40 grand, something like that, in savings. They confiscated that, froze that. And then because he kept on going to the school and standing outside the school to protest, they ended up giving all of his money to the school, and then anything else that he got as well went to the school, and he still owes something like 150,000 euro. So his family have got a GoFundMe thing going on. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is he's not got a life in jail, and that's what I put. I read two completely separate posts, and I didn't look. I didn't look further than that, and I do apologise for that. Again, integrity is important to me. But he will be spending Christmas in jail for that crime. A man with principles. And I've always said, if you've got no principles, then you're weak. And if you've got principles and then don't stand by them to the fucking death, then you're weak. You are. So I've got absolutely nothing but 24-karat gold and admiration and respect for that man, for standing his ground, no matter what, no matter what. They're going to try and make example after example after example after example out of people to make them think, oh, I better not say anything. As soon as you start to do that, that's the end of everything that you know and love. Fuck consequence. Forget about it. Know your own strength. Know your own mind. And just be absolute. Truth. Truth. Nothing but truth. Because it operates on a very, very high vibration. Again, some people will just probably switch off now. Fine, always going all woo woo. This is the truth. Always be honest and always be truthful and always stand by your principles. If you don't stand by your principles, they are not principles. They're just ideas. And ideas, you know, I'm sure dogs have ideas. No disrespect. I respect them more than most people. Principles are fuck all if you don't stand by them. If you don't stand by them, you're not a man. We need men, not snowflakes. And he's a man, you know, and he's not even a stereotypical man. So people think proper man, right? Built like a brick shit house, 6'8" tall, you know, fists like fucking sledgehammers. That's not the case. That's not the case. This guy does lack masculinity, right? But he makes up for it 10 times more than a lot of masculine men. He stood by his principles. You know, it fucking matters. It matters. You know, and it's going to become a point where you're going to be tested. And there's definitely going to be a time when I'm going to be tested. And I will stand by my principles. I'll fucking die by them. I'd take my kids out of school if I had any. Same here, Ray. I think we're all with you on that. Again, you know, people say, I can't because I'm working and my husband's working. Well, use the system now. Use the system. Use the fucking system, right? So they're turning around and saying, actually, look, there's loads and loads of money, you know, have loads and loads of kids, even though we know that that's aimed at the Puma trackies, right? You go, hold on, they're getting it. And it'll also encourage more white people to start fucking getting it on. Get some kids, you know. My mum was from a family of 8. I'm from a family of 6. Now, it's like a kid here, kid there. She hasn't got a kid. He hasn't got a kid. He hasn't got a kid. They haven't got kids. What the fuck? So maybe use the system against them. You know, get breeding. Horrible term. Yeah, I know. But yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that regardless of the fact that there are people out there saying, look, I'm not quite sure how we can accommodate homeschooling. I'm not sure how we can accommodate having kids, our kids at home. It's tough enough during the 6 weeks holidays. We have to do some serious plate spinning, some serious juggling, you know? Find a fucking way. No matter what has been put in front of me, all my fucking life, I've found a way. I'll always find a way. If you're determined enough, you'll fucking smash through every single obstacle that stands in your way. And if you can't smash through it, you'll find a way to go around it. You will. You're human. Find a way. Find a way. Get them out of your school. Get them out of schools. Because if you don't, I swear to God, you'll pay for it further down the line. It's like, how did it come to this? You know, where did we fuck up? I'll tell you where you fucked up. Come round, let's have a chat. Sorry, needed to get that off my chest. Nothing more important. Look, what's the point in us being alive today, right? If we haven't got a future for our, like the generations ahead of us, a future for our species, you know, humans with unbelievable potential. So imagine what the next generation is potentially capable of. And they're just being fucked up with drag queen story time, sex education from 6, and let's pray to Allah, who mythically like appeared from nowhere in a book written by a fucking nonce. Yeah, sounds fucking great. Sort yourself out if you're a mum or dad. Find a way. Get connected into your. In fact, I'm not going to run through loads and loads and loads of solutions for you, right? You should be doing this yourself. There is nothing above your children. Nothing. Dude with the hair. Oh man. Tell me again, Lana. Remind me, because you know how I get. Do you mean the teacher? He has got hair. It's not like, because I'm worth it. It's not like that. You know, it's got a normal hairdo. Just a really nice guy. If that's what you're on about, let me know, sweetheart, because I need to know now. Born in South London, 1974. Times were different, but adventure and freedom triumphed everything. Beautiful, Eric. You know, London is such a very, very, very different place now. It's almost unrecognisable. In fact, some places are. The only things that are the same are certain buildings that are still stood up. That's it. You look around, it's like being in India, Pakistan, Africa. It shouldn't be like that. We've got to turn all of this around. We've got a lot of work to do. And that's all on the other side of the hill. And we're not even over the hill yet. Oh, man. So let me get down. No, you asked me for a name for someone and you said dude with the hair. Oh, man. It's gone. I'm so sorry, Lana. You know how I get. I can imagine some people get quite frustrated from time to time. But I just go off on one and then lose track. And then sometimes I work my way back and sometimes I don't. I've noticed that people who lie all the time seem to lose the ability to be able to discern the truth. Yeah, exactly. If your mind is full of lies, you're living in a world of lies. So you can end up so focused on trying to think, how can I get out of that lie? You know, what a tangled web we weave when we conspire to deceive, right? So they end up taking up so much of their in computer language, RAM, random access memory, right? They end up using up so much of that it gets so tied up that they end up losing focus on all of the good things, you know, and the truth, because it's all they're so tangled up that they can't see the truth because they're so tangled up in here, because they're so full of shit, because they're so deceptive. So it pays dividends to be honest and truthful and just be yourself, be authentic. Don't pretend to be anything else. You know, it pays dividends because you end up with more mental clarity. You can think clearer. You can prepare better. You know, there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do better because you've freed up loads of space, because you don't need to think about how am I going to get around what I said to her because that wasn't true. I had to lie because of this, or I had to lie because of that. Don't fucking lie. You know, if someone turns around and asks you a question, you know, right down to little things like, does my bum look big in this? Well, it depends on what you call big. That's honest. Or meeting him halfway. You know, it's still not lying. Just saying. Always be honest. Always, even if you end up pissing friends off that because they've gotten something that they didn't want to hear. I've always said the truth is usually quite uncomfortable. It is usually, but weeks later, months later, years later, they'll end up respecting you for your honesty. Not that you're looking for respect. Fuck them. They respect you or they don't. Just be you. Yes, been sacked from many jobs for sticking up for myself. It's a power that will give you strength forever. Absolutely, Eric. Absolutely spot on. I've fallen out with so many bosses, you know. Not every boss. No, not every boss. Because I've had some good bosses. I don't like the word boss either. It's like, you're up there. I don't think you are. Come down here. That's about right. Out there. That's about right. You're not my boss. You're not above me. You're just directing me on what needs to be done. That's it. You're not my boss. You're not my superior. You're just saying that needs to be done. That needs to be done. That needs to be done. It's in your contract. That's what we're paying you for. Can you do it? Of course I can. Done. But I have had some cunt bosses. I've gone toe to toe with them. You know, I've never got sacked because of it. Well, I have from one. Just one though. You know. Never let anyone disrespect you unless you've been a cunt. Then you've got it coming. So as long as you're honest and just again, I know I've said this loads of times in the past, as long as you maintain those beautiful, beautiful human traits, you know, the compassion, the empathy, you know, consideration. The list, there is a lovely little list. As long as you can just try and maintain some of them and always be honest and always be truthful and always be yourself, you know? Hello, Jerry. Meditation is the way. Go inward. Absolutely agree with that 100%. And I know there's at least 2 other people that would agree with that as well. Can't read everyone's mind, but I have spoken to other people in here, and you're right. You're absolutely right. I've said that about faith. So Christians, I think the vast majority of stereotypical Christians have read the Bible all wrong. They've completely misinterpreted the Bible. The Bible is about you, you know. So your faith, all of your faith. I've got loads of faith. Absolute faith. But it's all aimed inwards. That's where it should be aimed. The Bible, I've said before, the Bible is so open to misinterpretation or interpretation, you know. It's all over the place. It means different things to loads of different people because of the way that it's structured, because of the way that it's written. And again, it's the New Testament. What was wrong with the Old Testament? Again, that's another argument for another day. But the Bible tells you about you and your spiritualism. It tells you about you. If you start looking, if you've read the Bible, I've not read the Bible. I've read bits because I've always been interested in religion, always, you know. At school, I think there was maybe three subjects, you know, that I would attend. Other than that, I was always absconding. I was always playing truant. I wasn't interested, but I'm not thick, you know. And RE, religious education, was one of them. I found it very interesting, but it helped that I had a great teacher, Mr. Pook, unusual name, but nice bloke, very good at teaching, you know, and getting you to think. Those teachers are very, 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 very rare now. They're all woke and fucked up. Get your kids out. Get your kids out of school. But meditation is definitely, a lot of people will be thinking, it's all woo-woo. No, it's all woo-woo. The system has made you think that is all woo-woo. The system. So if you are thinking that meditation is all woo-woo, right, then the system still has a good grasp on you and you need to break those fucking shackles off. Sort your shit out. Because there's something in it. So meditation works and it can lead you, it can guide you to yourself, you know. Again, try half an hour of complete silence, no phone, no nothing, right? Just silence, all on your own. Half an hour, give it a go. You won't believe how challenging that can be now. It wouldn't have been challenging 40 years ago. So thanks for that, Jerry. Absolutely spot on. Yeah. Too many clowns are, you mean two with two O's? I'm so sorry. I do like grammar, but I like grandpa as well. Terrible. But you started the fucking dad jokes off, Dave. So, yeah, too many clowns that are focused on their truth rather than the truth. Totally agree. Yeah. Hello, Leslie. Is this Leslie as in Leslie? Evening, read something ages ago that they are clamping down on homeschooling. Yes, they are. They're desperate to get your kids. Those that do will have to follow the narrative. No, you're right. That is the road that they're going down now, and it's not good. This is why we've got to fight. This is what I'm saying. Fuck consequences. Consequences and fear, same thing. You know, get rid of fear. Get rid of fear, you get rid of consequences. Fuck consequences. If everyone caved in, everyone would be fucked up. Guaranteed. You, your kids, probably not your kids' kids, because there won't be any. That's where we're going. Stand your ground. But yeah, Leslie, is this Leslie as in who's been with us for ages, for years? Let us know, sweetheart, just so I know it's the right Leslie. If it's not, welcome to the chat and much love. I saw a thing about that yesterday. They want everyone thinking the same. Yeah, they do. Yeah. And this is why another reason why I've got such a hatred for Google, which is why I never monetize the channel. Would you take money from someone that was profiting from the prostitution of children, and you knew that that money was coming from that? Would you take it? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Look at the amount of fucking damage Google's done over the last 6 years at least. And you've got all of these YouTubers that have got big platforms that speak the truth. This is the way. Yeah, they still have the little fucking begging bowl thing at the bottom of the channel, you know, and have ads. Take money off Google. It's immoral. But yeah, Google is the ministry of truth. Ministry of truth. Defeat the ego. Right, that's so important. I have no ego. I hope no one ever picks up on any ego from me, because I don't. Everyone's got one, everyone, but I try and fucking smash it down into the ground because it gets in the way. So if anyone ever thinks that they've seen a bit of ego come through on me, tell me so I can watch it back and just reflect on it. You'd be doing me a favor. Definitely the ego will whisper sweet lies. Absolutely, Dave. You're a wise chap. To come out of the modern education system today without being turned woke with nose rings and purple hair must take a lot of determination and discernment on their part. Total respect to those kids. Yes, exactly. Those kids are children of light. Oh man, he's gone woo again. I do think that there are kids that are born a specific way, that no matter what happens really in their environment, hardship, grief, abuse, all of that can definitely affect them, but galvanize them, but they don't move off their path. And there are kids being born like that. And I've met like 16, 17-year-old kids when I've been taking the girls for a walk and had little chats with them. And I thought, fucking hell, didn't expect that. Something's happening. Inner Christos. Yes, Lana. Yeah. Don't. I need to give her ears a clean out. I forgot to do them today. Yeah, the inner Christos. So Lana's basically giving a very, very summarized little slit there. Slot. Prefer slot than slit. Of how people might have misinterpreted the Bible, because the Bible is all about you, literally, from something that goes on in your spine to your pineal gland. That I bet you couldn't do a better summary than that, Lana. A shorter fucking summary than that. Something in your spine to your pineal gland. Done. Even I'm impressed. Because I do like to go around the houses. Oh man, land of milk and honey. Yep. Serotonin and DMT produced in the brain naturally. Sacred secretion. You see, honestly, this is true. It is. So look, for example, right? They turned around 5 years ago and said, this is going to save granny. This is safe and effective. This is for your health. This is for your safety. We know what they're about, right? So having the whole system telling you everything other than information like this that you might not believe right now, but at least maybe give it a go. At least maybe just do a little bit of research into it. Just a fucking bit, you know? But keep your mind open, right? If it makes sense, it'll make sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know? But keep your mind open. Keep your mind open, but don't trust it entirely. Trust your heart and your gut, because they're the only two things that haven't been programmed your entire fucking life. Because they're not programmable. Just your brain is. And we're better off than most. I said this generation, depression, anxiety, bipolar. Yeah, snowflakes. They need guidance. They've got shit parents, a lot of them, for not to be able to work. British soldiers must wonder why they are bothering to fight. Yeah, and they're all being sent to the meat grinder as we speak. Like I said they would. You know? The greatest army in the world. Soldiers that are absolutely unsurpassed. Now, someone from Australia that might be listening, or someone from America that might be listening now, they'll be thinking, actually, I think you'll find that our soldiers are the best in the world. So that would be a defense mechanism based on them thinking that I'm being biased because I'm English and I'm talking about the British Army. Well, that's not the case at all. It's about standards. It's about approach. It's about the mind. And it's about the attitude. And there is no army in this world that can beat the British Army at that. They know that. They know that. There is no way that they would bring the army, our British Army, in a lot of other countries, they could get away with it. Well, they know that our army would never take part in martial law in this country because they're like us. To come out of the modern education, right? I think, have I read that? Right, yeah. In a lot, right? So, in a lot of ways, it's going to be. We've got a lot of retired soldiers, right, that have done at least their term. Is it 4 years? So they've done that and they've come out, right? And you'll still get an army pension. Good luck with that. But they've come out. Some of I won't call. Like I've said before, I won't call them all vets. I think vets are people that have served, you know, in hot zones. You know, you're a vet. If you've seen shit, you know, fucking bullet. You felt the air from that bullet. You know, they're vets. The term vet's thrown around like fucking confetti for anyone in a uniform. So let's aim that respect where it's due, you know. So we need the retired vets, and a lot of them are still young. They're in their 30s, right? We need them and their connection to other soldiers that are still serving to use their heads, not use these, and get this party started. But we don't want them to go into that meat grinder. And if you've got any family members that are concerned about their kids being conscripted, because that is a possibility, let me go through a wee. I'm going to roll through a couple of things that hopefully will kind of make a bit more sense. You know, if I'm not making any sense. I apologise, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be a quick one. Oh, I wish I'd not even said that now. I think this is probably the first for a live stream. I do like firsts. Everyone should. So, we know that this is a depopulation program. We know that. This is common knowledge now among people that are paying attention, right? So, World War I, orchestrated. A lot of people lost, right? But then there was those that were lucky enough to come back alive, and then even more so come back alive and functional, went on to our families. World War I, right? I mean, I've watched so many World War I documentaries and then trying to piece it together with other information that I've managed to sort of try and build a picture, right? What they went through was horrific, right? And now you've got kids same age, right, crying into fucking TikTok that they're having to work 30 hours a week, right, and they're having to pay 10% of that pay to their parents for fucking board, crying. Never seen a day of hardship in their life. Cunts. So anyway, so they ended up having families, you know, all of the things that they'd seen, all the experience that they spent. Some of them was like years on foreign soil, you know, in France, on foreign soil, years. Without all of the, like, all singing, all dancing equipment and proper, decent, waterproof in trenches, just mud and guts and Anyway, right? So World War One, orchestrated, right? Population decrease, and to make money, to jolt the world back into a money spinning economy, right? Guess what ideology was behind that one? World War II, same thing, exactly the same thing. It didn't need to happen, right? But there was a depression. There was a depression for what? It all ties in with money. I'm trying to find a way here of kind of not going right round the houses and then forgetting where I started. So World War II again. So you ended up with the offspring of people that had been through horrific experiences. The offspring then going through exactly the same thing again. Millions of people dying. When all else fails, go to war. And that's what they're doing again. Sending them to the meat grinder. The best army in the world. But we've got our forefathers' grit, bravery, and absolute courage of World War One, and then the offspring and their offspring and their offspring of the incredible bravery and courage of the soldiers of World War II, and all of the wars that preceded all of that. And that's all in our genetics, you know? This is why I'm saying have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Because those genetics are there. They've been programmed out of, you know, they've done a proper fucking good job on us. But we are the light that's shining. We need to be guiding these. So both money spinning and financial resetting events, whilst at the same time bringing the population of the world down. And then the Spanish flu, of course. Let's not forget about that one. Well, that's another thing that makes these sick, twisted, fucked up cunts more predictable, because they are so clockwork, you know, soulless, just completely soulless, right? The clockwork. Well, that worked in the past. Let's do that again. You know? So war, it's worked before, God knows how many times, right? So that's happening. How can we do the Spanish flu again? COVID, but without an actual disease. Just telling you. You know, it's like, you are saved. It's the same fucking thing, you know. 2019, 2020, 2021 was an IQ test, and billions of people failed it miserably. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, going back to the kids, they're coming up and they know what's what. And then as far as our arm is concerned, They know what's what. They're starting to see it. I've spoken to a few. I don't want to go into too much detail, but they're still kind of, well, reform. I didn't want to go down that route of just fucking obliterating them there on the spot, because they're going to be needed further down the line. So there is still some naivety amongst our army. You know, you've got to remember they've been part of getting into the army is to be completely collapsed and destroyed and then rebuilt into a soldier. You know, that's their method, and they've had like what how many thousands of years worth of perfecting that. You know, so fuck knows, you know, what they've got into their heads. But all I'm saying is that they are still the best army on the planet, and it's not biased. It's not a biased thing. It's just an observational thing. That literally, that's it. Our army's gone around the world training loads and loads of other armies, more than any other country has. You know, that must say something about us, you know. So it would be horrible to see our army being deployed to a needless war that's all about money laundering and fakery and depopulation. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a meat grinder. Russia is a meat grinder. So, you know, apologies if I've come across as a little bit insensitive to anyone that might have anyone in the army. It wasn't intended. But it is what it is. And when you start looking at it, you know, again, you know, ironically, I just pushed my chair back. And so look at that. Right? And I come in like this. Right? So both of us have got the same perspective here. Right? So I'm quite close into the screen. I go back as far as I'm allowed because of physics, right? I can see all of this fucking room. I can see all of that there in focus, but I've got all of that in my peripheral, and so have you. And that should make sense with every single aspect of your perception of life. So even like going back to what Lana said and Jerry, you know, the Bible, it's not actually a religious text. And again, what's the difference between religion and a cult? What's the difference? Look up the definition of both and then do a little bit of a deeper dive. Anyway. I don't know what you were laughing at now, Lana. I lost the train, you know. Talking of losing trains, there was a complete and total train, proper full-on train, passenger train that disappeared in America. And there is no, they're saying that it's okay now, it's appeared. Oh, God. But no one on that train has said, yeah, this happened. There's no evidence of that train reappearing. You know, I'll tell you what, there's some mad fucking shit going on in the world. But I would like to just say this 3i Atlas thing, I do think that is definitely another psyop because they're pushing it too much. So, but if you end up seeing motherships above your head shooting lasers and destroying houses and cars and shit, right? That'll be man-made shit above the projection of Project Bluebeam. It'll be man-made shit shooting shit through that projection. And I know that some people will be thinking, oh, Terry. We've lost you, ain't you, my love? You've gone, ain't you? Is it Absolute vodka? Is that what fucked you up? Hey? Or was it your little sparrow pen? You've gone, ain't you? No, I haven't. I've never been so fucking together in my life, you know. But then it's never been so difficult either. It's a challenge. But it's a challenge for all of us. We're all in this. I'm not going to say together, even though I just did, because they made that a swear phrase, you know. We're in this together, you know. The jargon that they've used, the jargon that they continue to use, and the amount of people that continue to fall for it is ridiculous. This is why I'm running out of patience with people. They've had 6 years to think, hold on. They don't even need to say anything. Just put things together in their heads. Just 2 pieces, that's all. You know? That's all. In fact, the average jigsaw puzzle, just get the corners in place. Then we'll go to town on it, right? People aren't even putting corners into place. There are. I'll take that back. But there are a lot of people that aren't. And it's frustrating for all of us, you know, because we were made to look like lunatics back then. And in some cases, that's still occurring. That's still happening. But in a lot of cases, that's not happening anymore, because there are likely to be some people in your life that have started, not all of you, I'm just saying 1 or 2, where they've listened to what you've said. Again, it all goes in. Whether you think they're listening or not, it doesn't matter. It's information. The brain absorbs it. Whether it goes into this file or that file or that file or that file, the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the back, the left lobe, the right lobe, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It still goes in. So whether or not you know it or not, there will be family members that you've got that are going to be thinking you fucking prophetic. And just in case I had a lisp, I didn't say pathetic, prophetic. And they're going to be thinking, how the fuck did you know that? How did you know that was going to happen? How did you know that was going to happen? And how did you know about all of this and this and that, you know? And all you need to do is go with it. Just go with it, you know? But no ego. No ego. Ego, again, when I gave you like an example of what God would be and what Satan would be. God is nature, Satan is tech. Same thing. Oh man, we've got a little again. Because cycles repeat, and they do. You know, when you start, I loved history again. I stayed in school for history. I stayed in school for history. RE. Oh, there was 4 actually. But that was it. RE, English and art, but I loved history, you know, because I was because my history teacher said history sometimes repeats, but most of the time it rhymes, and it stuck in my head. And look, I was what, 15, 14, 15. That made no fucking sense to me. I had no idea what I was talking about. Thinking, right, sir, thank you. Thank you. Did you ever do that? But it was absolutely spot on. It does repeat. It repeats and it repeats and it repeats, because these people are so out of touch with the reality of life on Earth, you know, down here from their ivory towers, that they just think it's going to work every single time. But there is a great awakening, and this is a real phenomenon. I hate doing that because I can't help it, and it takes the edge off the seriousness. There is a phenomenon, and we don't know. No one can really say categorically this is why, right? Now, I had a bit of a chat with Michael, text chat, about a video he sent me that I'd already seen, but I was quite chuffed that he'd sent it to me, because I knew that he'd watched it then, and I'm like, oh, nice, you know. The Great Awakening is a real thing, and it seems that there's not really anything that they can do to prevent it, but I think they're trying to do everything they can to slow it down, to make it survivable for them. Again, some people are going to get where I'm coming from and some people aren't. But so in summary, the people at the top are out of touch with the people at the, not at the bottom, people in the real world, right? They're out of touch. So they're implementing so many things, but none of them kind of are applicable to the psyche of the average working class person. They're out of touch. Some of it's in touch, but the people they're employing have learned all of their shit from maybe a little bit of kind of in-field study, right? Which is how they'd see it. But a lot of it will be from textbooks. You can't learn about human beings from textbooks. There are far too, I said this right from the start, 5 fucking years ago. Go back and check. There were far too many variables to throw into the mix for them to be able to pull this off. Impossible. We're too complex. Yeah, there are exceptions, you know, the tards, the Tommy tards, the Grok tards, right? And a lot of them think they're awake. And again, awake's a very sliding scale. But lots of different types of sliding scales as well, you know, people that are kind of coming from wow, and just like their eyes realize, you know, and maybe the pineal gland, like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this shit out myself, but I do know the pineal gland's got a big part to play in this. But why all this is happening all at once, it feels like a convergence of lots of different things. So we're overdue for a CME, for example, a significant one, right? So we're overdue for something like that. The poles are flipping as we sit, right? To the point where if you could put a magnetic glowing green fucking orb or ball on the ground that stayed and followed the magnetic north, right? You would be able to sit there and literally see it move, right? So we know that that's happening. How significant the ramifications of that when it finally goes will be on Earth is anyone's guess. There is a channel called Suspicious Observers, but he believes we landed on the moon. I don't. So when, again, people remember, people will hear you say 1,000 things. You fuck up once, those 999 things that you were right about go into question. I've experienced that now. So that's made me question his theories on how bad a pole flip will be for us. So CME, pole flip, what else is there? The exchange from one imperial force to another, right? So it went from the UK to, well, if I don't want to go through them all because I'll go on forever, but let's just go back, say, the last sort of 150 years, right? UK, America, now, maybe China, their heavenly mandate. Lana, what was the name of that? And not being racist, not being anti-Semitic. What was the name of that that Jew that died, who was very, very, very fucking juiced, and he died recently. I think he was 100. Yeah, I think he died at 100. But the power that man commanded was ridiculous. Oh man, please help me out, Lana. I hope you're there, or Michael, or anyone. Otherwise, I'm going to lose some flow here, and it's important. Was it Kissinger? If I'm wrong and it comes back to me, which is, it's important that I get it right anyway. But anyway, he was able to, on the spot, I want to see Xi Jinping. Following day, done. I wanted to see Kim Jong-un. Following day. Putin. Following day. So take these things into account, that he was from a specific persuasion of ideology, you know. So who is in charge? Who's in charge? Kissinger. Yeah, thank you. Nice one, Lana. It was on my lips, you know. Look, I've got it tattooed. It was on my lips. I just wanted to make sure I've made one fuck up today, and I don't want to make any more by saying that Enoch Burke had got life in prison, and I feel pissed off that I didn't look a little bit deeper. But he will still be spending Christmas in jail for refusing to adhere to a child fucking fantasy. Let that sink in. You're not a man unless you've got principles, and if you're not prepared to die by them. And he is. We've got so much respect for him. So much respect for him. Like I said, there is you see, the problem lies is that Ireland is, again, this is all so fucked up. It's so fucked up. So you've got the UK that voted to leave the EU but never left. But we can't help Ireland that's in the EU, that's closer to us than the EU, but we can't help them or anyone in dire straits in Ireland because they're part of the EU. You know? Clown fucking planet. Well, this man needs help, you know? And believe it or not, I'm not fucking minted, you know? I think some people think, I think he's doing all right now. You won't believe how I'm trying to fucking spin things here, you know? I've got no pension. But there'll be people saying, yeah, but you own your own house. Yeah, I do. But then I would say to anyone that's got a mortgage, you own yours. And if it wasn't for the fact that at the time I was very, very, very fucking vulnerable and fucked up when I lost Sal, right? But if I wasn't, I'd be a psychopath if I wasn't. But if I wasn't, I'd be thinking, hold on a minute, the whole the mortgage it's a scam. That money appeared from nowhere on a screen. This is why so many people are so rich. You don't owe anyone anything. But it's about how hard you're prepared to fight under the immense amount of pressure that you're under already as a prepper. US URA open mind. Check out the dance song. Whoa. Let me write that down. I've actually got me Sparrow pen, but no paper. Well, actually, I have. There's one thing written down on it. That's all I've got. I could move this all around and show you. This is the only piece of paper I've got, and it's got something that is, I think, it's quite important on there. And I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Whether you know, start to have a look into it or not, it's entirely up to you. You know that you're free. Stay free. Yeah, the bloke with the long hair, Lana. He says stay free. Beautiful, wonderful people, and he's not. He's a fucking fraud. Yet still millions of people are following him, thinking he's some sort of messiah when he's the opposite. He's just leading people into the darkness. He's been in a few films. I've forgotten his name. That's why I said bloke with a long hair. Cunt. Where are we? Where is it? SBS. Right, URA. A. Bear with me, bear with me. Right, I'll look into that. It might be for me, it might not, but I'm always interested. You know, I've got like loads of you guys. You know, what's happened is zap, something at some point. It could have been 9/11 for some people. It could have been before, something that's happened before that. Reaching right back to maybe even, you know, it depends on how old you are, right back to the JFK, which spawned the term conspiracy theorist. And then you've got everything that's happened after that, you know. But we've all got a thirst for knowledge. We've all got a hunger for it, you know. And it's some people have got a hunger for cakes and pies, right? And they live to their late 40s, early 50s. Some people have got a hunger to climb the corporate ladder, and they'll step on toes, hands, face, neck, head to get up that corporate ladder. No morals, none. There are lots and lots of different types of hunger, and we've all got them, all of us, bar none, right? But a hunger for knowledge is the healthiest one of all, apart from food. Otherwise, you'll die. You don't want that, you know? So as long as you can feed yourself with healthy food and replenish and hydrate yourself with healthy water, keep feeding that hunger for knowledge, you know, and trust your gut. It's not been programmed. So if you end up watching something and you're thinking, I'm not quite sure what to make of this, I can't quite comprehend this at the moment, right? But there is definitely some fucking truth in there because I feel it, you know? Bit deep. I do apologise. It's an age thing, Eric. I've lost context for that. I'm sorry. Ask me how I know. Again, this is tech is Satan, God is nature. Yes, I love that analogy. It's so true, though, mate. It really is. When you really think about it, you know, we've got AI that's thinking for people. Now, the brain, even though it's not a muscle in the physical sense, in the conventional sense, it's still a muscle. It needs to be challenged, you know? So it just seems that since technology as we know it has come into play, it's had such a massive negative effect on society and communities, right down, you know, from the macro to the micro. So you don't get families sat around tables having a conversation whilst they're eating dinner anymore, you know, and shit like that is really, really important because it's bonding. You're bonding with your family and staying in touch with each other, staying connected with each other. You know, are you still struggling with that history work? you know. They're like, at school, all right, good. They've done a proper fucking job on us. They really have. But it's not irreparable. No, not Henry, Lana. Russell Brand. Oh my God, thank you so much, Lana. Oh my God. You know, if you were in this room now, I'd hear all the air exit your body. No, that sounds so dark. I meant it in a lovely way, you know, but you would get a massive fucking hug, you know. Russell Brand, right? So he's another example of someone that's got quite a big presence on YouTube that could use that for good, right? But he can't and he won't because he's not on our side. He's fake. So there's real, what people would call woo-woo, and then there's his, where he's kind of hijacked it to some degree and made weak-minded spiritual people, because this is a spiritual war, just fall by the wayside when they could do with being on our side, because it's a spiritual war. So if they're spiritual to start off with, to the point where they felt they gravitated towards Russell fucking cunt Grant, right? Then they're spiritual people. If they gravitated towards us, we'd have more on the right side. And it's all about frequency. It's all about intention, you know? I'll be back. Isn't it ironic? Good song. That I've gone from insisting that I'm not actually a hippie to then doing live streams sounding like a fucking hippie. I think that's that's beautifully ironic. And yes, to some of you, statistically, who would be thinking, did he wash his fucking hands? And my answer to you would be yes, 50% of the time. Because I believe that washing your hands too much has an effect on your immune system. So it's not a case of being disgusting or unhygienic. I just know, I know that you can be too hygienic to the point where it can go to your detriment. And because I know that, I don't wash my hands every time I have a piss. Again, honesty, backed up with science. I'm glad I sort of like trimmed my moustache down, because every now and then I just picture just something that would, because I never, ever, ever, ever want to do a viral video, ever. I don't want notoriety. I want to go under the radar, you know, and connect with people worth connecting with. So imagine if I had like a massive mustache and loads of hair, like that wig, right? I'll put it on for you, because I know it has a little bit of a giggle. It'll wear off. I'll find something else, because we live in a very negative world, and I think it's good to have a little bit of a smile and a bit of a giggle now and then, you know. It's good. Balance. Where are we? Oh yeah. Oh, and Neil Oliver. I've not got his number yet. The fact that the whole pay again, it's the paywall thing, Michael. It annoys me. You know, we need to be helping each other more now than at any fucking given point in history. Yet people are putting important information, important advice, important experiences behind a fucking paywall in the middle of a cost of living crisis. You know, when we need each other more now than ever. You know, fucking cunts. But yeah, Neil Oliver, I think he does, again, you know, when you look at politicians, right? Look at Farage and Tice, right? And Habib. There are a couple of others that were thinking, no. Don't break my fucking hopes with Rupert Lowe. But they all say exactly what you want to hear. So people hear it and they think, he's the one for me. That's it. Blinkered. They are fucking blinkered. They're missing out on all of the shit that's happening, right? That they put this person in place to make sure that you don't see all of this shit going on. Bread and circus. Bread and circus. Distraction after distraction after distraction. People taking their fucking eye off the ball. But yeah, anyway, going back to, you know, people with big platforms like that wanker Russell, and trying to work out Neil Oliver's plan. Whether he's coming from a completely moralistic point of view or where he hasn't got the fucking balls that we've got to go smashing straight through the middle of the system, coming up with our own solutions, right? He's thinking, I need to kind of adapt to the new world rather than fucking fight it. That's Neil Oliver in my head. Russell Brand, write off, cunt, fake. Anyone that follows him is weak. And I mean that, whether you're offended or not. Still doing a live stream fee. Yeah, Ilana, like I've said to you before, and you know what I'm going to say. Women do not monopolize multitasking, you know. There are some of us that can do that. I can literally piss, think, talk, breathe, keep my heart beating, and maintain balance all at once. I know. Sit down. I can see your legs are going wobbly. Sit down. Breathe. I know you're thinking, he's a god. Oh man. Where were we? That's dedication. Yes, I do try. I think people think this is loads easier than it actually is, and it's not. The build up to a live stream, when you know that they're going to, you give it a go, give it a try. You've all, every single one of you have literally got an active channel where you can do videos, you can do all the things that I do. Honestly, everything. Give this a go, give it a try, and then try it for 5-6 years, and still be able to sit here and yeah. But I'm telling you, I'm only human, and sometimes, not tonight, weirdly, but most build-ups to a live stream, I get really fucking nervous. I do. I do. But not tonight. I don't know why, but not tonight. But most of the time I do. Just saying. It's like, what the fuck am I going to talk about for 2 hours? Because I'm not one of these that can drag something across on the screen and let's talk about this. And then finish with that and go, yeah, that's fucking out of order. And then drag something else onto the screen. Let's talk about this. I don't know any other YouTuber that does that. Not one. Got no notes, nothing. But it's been made a lot easier by keeping the channel personal, intimate. So I'm able to respond to all of your comments and, oh, you've heard it all before. Just saying. I don't know where that came from. What were we talking about? Multi-talented. Yeah, off the back of that, I don't know. A little dirt never hurts anyone, just builds immunity. Yeah, it's good for us. Oh my God, I'm so far back because that was just playing out, just playing. I can remember builders trying to do work on or build a house nearby somewhere, and there'd be a big dump of sand where a truck could just dump it off and fuck off. Now they don't do that because they bring it along, dump it off, fuck off, and then the sand's gone because everyone's thinking, my kids love sand pits and that's free sand. Anyway, we were from a world of trust, and again, with the last generation, it's down to us to turn this shit around, and it's quite a challenge, but keep thinking outside the box. I can't put that keep putting. Yeah, it's the establishment think inside a very, very small box, which is why you need to be thinking outside of it, and that's how you'll survive, and you will. You won't just survive, you'll thrive. You've got to think outside the box and then lead by example so that people notice and they start to realize, and that's how revolutions begin. Oh, I think I went right off track there. Where are we? Good night, Lana. I'm sorry if I've missed you, darling. I probably have. I do apologise. What's with the members only YouTube videos? As far as I'm concerned, they can do one. Yeah, Michael, it's just that's just my opinion, mate. You know, I know that they want to make a living out of it, but I just think there are moral ways of making a living and there are immoral ways of making a living. But I'm also aware of the fact that there are fewer jobs. So people are starting to think, right, I need to try and think about a future income, right? When what they need to do is make sure that they are just presently secure. If they are presently secure, then they're ready for going into battle further down the line, you know, because we are. It's going to be that way, you know. Look, our government is not going to stop doing what they're doing. They're not going to stop. They're going to intensify that over and over and over again. And I think anyone that doesn't think like that is ridiculously fucking naive, you know. Again, no offense, but it is what it is. So I think that's why I kind of, this has been the first live stream out of probably what, 50 odd, 50, 60 maybe live streams with an average of 3-4 hours long, where I've kind of gone into a bit more detail about things like this and things like this, you know, because we still need to prepare to some degree to weather the storm in order for us to get over the hill. And we will, but it's just little practical things that we can put. I know it's not little for a lot of people. I know that a lot of people can't buy 1 ounce of silver. That's why I kind of mentioned copper, you know, that if you can just spare just a few quid. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I've got no qualifications in that field. Just secure your wealth. Just secure it. And you know, I know I don't need to demonstrate this, but I know what I'm like. This is worth nothing. So this £10 note, right, it probably cost about, I don't know, 5 pence, maybe 6 pence, something like that, to create. And it's just a visual representation of something that you can exchange for something else. That's all this is. It's been programmed into you. Whereas in actual fact, it's worth nothing because it's not backed by anything. It's a promissory note. It's debt. That's all it is. And the only reason that it's kind of in your purse or your wallet is because it's the only thing that your local shop or your local supermarket or your local butchers or your local pub or restaurant or whatever recognizes. Whereas it means nothing because it's backed by nothing. In fact, currently, for some bizarre reason, they've not tried to eradicate this, but they can't eradicate any of the laws. They can't. All they can do is just go over them with acts and statutes, right? They're not proper laws. It's down to you as to whether you abide by a fake law or not. It's down to the individual. But with this, not this one, I've got a Britannia down there, but this is an American Eagle, right? So with a Britannia, which is now worth spot price 52 quid for an ounce, right? I can go into a restaurant, order a nice bottle of champagne for 25 quid, right? And then a meal each for you know, £12.50. My maths is shit. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can go with a Britannia, you can go, there you go. Thank you. And keep the change. By law, you can do that. And 100% of the time, they're going to turn, for now, at the moment, for now, they can turn around and go, fuck's this? You can turn around and say, it's a Britannia. It's a solid silver British Britannia coin. It's 1 ounce of solid silver. And they'll go, we take cash or card. And you go, this is money, right? They're trained into cash or card. Cash is that. Card is electronic. But it's still in law that you can still use money. And this is still legal tender. So you can go into a restaurant and order whatever the value of your sovereign or your half sovereign or your quarter sovereign, depends on how swanky you are, right? Or your Britannia, and offer that as payment. If they refuse that payment, you can take that away and go, are you sure you're refusing this? Get someone to film it, right? And they go, yes, we want cash or card. And you go, I offered payment, you refused it, I am going. And you can leave legally and lawfully because you have offered payment. They refused it, right? And they cannot sue you in court. They can't. However, that is still true. Well, there's nothing to stop them from changing that. The way that they're trying to remove jury service from a fair trial, which is bad. They are trying to bring in 1984 at 1,000 miles an hour. And the only reason that they would be doing that at that speed and at this intensity would be because they are fucking worried, you know? Things are not going to plan. And I said 5-6 years ago, and I'm sorry for saying stuff like that, because I don't like, I told you say, I'm not one of those people, but I did say that there are far too many variables to take into account here. Far too many. You know, we're talking about a human being, the most complex being, as far as we know, as far as we've got proof of, that's ever existed. Now you take an entire world from lots of different countries and lots of different ways of thinking and different attitudes and all that. You throw all that into the mix. There are far too many variables to take into account in order for you to pull something like this off successfully. It's impossible. And that's why they're going to go fucking hard and tough. We're talking, You know, 9/11, I remember that. It was nothing compared to that. And that was nothing compared to that. That's where we're headed. And I think that was probably one of the main reasons why starting the prepping channel off was so important in the start, you know, so that I could take what little I knew at the time and share that, and then you could share your stuff with me, and then I'd start to look at other channels, and you start to look at channels, and we started to build up a prepper mentality, you know. But it's so much deeper than I think most of us anticipated it would be, you know. And then and that's the materialistic side of it, you know, the food, the water, the preparing, make sure you can maintain water and maintain food, and or maintaining some sort of income, or blah 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 blah. Right? There was all that practical side. And then there's the mental kind of spiritual side of it all. You know, we didn't see half of this shit coming. Came out of nowhere. You know, but that is pretty much the definition of a fucking psyop. But fortunately, most, if not all of us, are on it like a carb on it, you know, and we're putting things in place and trying to do what we can as best we can. But again, you know, those of you who are worried about mortgages and stuff, hey, look, I know there's so much. Yeah, that was where I started before I went on a tangent. As long as you're prepared to be able to absorb all of the spiritual attack on you, the financial attack on you, if you can bring yourself around to absorb that and maybe even throw it back a little bit whilst fighting your corner as far as what mortgages actually are, then you've got yourself out of a mortgage as well. And that's for most people, that's the most significant part of their budget. The Great Mortgage Fraud. Look it up, please. Oh, I missed that. That Ray. We're like a little bit of blue. Hold on. Let's make it look authentic. Bit of blue for dads. Our Ray's in the house. She's talking about having a trimmed a bush. Good on you, Ray. Is it a landing strip? You know, do we need flashing lights? You can clip that bit and add it to your wank bank. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let's move on. I do apologize, Ray. And then Michael goes on about Brazil. I'm thinking Brazilian. You couldn't make this shit up. Brazil comes, oh my God, to mind now, lol. Yeah, lol. Big fucking lol, Michael. Yes. Caused some problems there, mate. Trial by jury has been in existence for over 800 years. It's still in existence, Mike. It is. People just need to realise it and start fighting for it. Sad Lammy. Lammy. Oh my God. He's probably got about the same mental capability of as a lamb, an actual fucking lamb, an actual newborn sheep. I've genuinely thought or had images in my mind of Lammy and Diane Abbott being separated at birth, right? You get 4 brain cells, you get 4 brain cells, you've got a combined IQ of -50. And I'm sorry, this is my version of a mic drop, and I don't like that because that would mean ego, and I don't like that, so I need to get out of doing that. Keep fighting your ego, fight it, because it blocks. Please believe me. In existence for over 800 years, set into loser. If it becomes a statute, it's a statute. It will be retracted as soon as Labour is voted out. Not until Labour's voted out. Right, so you've got the law, right? So the law is the law, okay? Which is quite old, right? They have added some laws into it, but they can only do that to a certain degree because they can't undermine the original laws, right? So acts and statutes are guidance. So it's a little bit like a police constable, right? So you've got to allow it, you know? It's all about consent. So you are policed by consent. So if you ask a police officer, which is very different to a police constable, right? There's a difference between a police officer and a police constable, right? So you ask a police officer if he is acting under his oath as a constable. If he says yeah, he's banged to rights already. Even if he's not done anything, he's already broken the law, right? And then you've got politicians. So they start to put out acts and statutes. Acts and statutes are recommendations. They are guidance, right? They're only applicable if you agree to them. So how many of these acts and statutes have you agreed to? Answers on a postcard. That's old school, you know. Tis was. Or was it one of you? Can't get away with that shit now on telly. Did you see what he's just into her ear? Bastard. Is that Ofcom? He's a cunt. Sack him. Hello? Yeah, you're sacked. Why? Because you pulled on a girl's ear. Oh no. I was gentle. She came up with it. It was all, you know, pre-planned. I know, but you know, you don't look good. You don't look good. You're sacked. Tiswas. How did I get to Tiswas from having a jury of your peers? It's Friday. I think I need to drink out some copper. Hold on. So a trial by a jury with no peers is not a trial by jury, and you've got an inalienable right, and it goes almost back. The concept of it goes back to tribalism. You know, you get the elders together from each tribe, if you like, and the elders that have been respected. You know, we need that again. And they'll all go, you know what? He's a constant cunt. And they'll all go, right, what should we do? And they'll decide, depending on, you know, the situation and the case at hand. But at the moment, we've got woke judges. And some of these judges aren't even trained judges. They're just, you know, no one's going to ask any questions. Put this wig on. Pass the sentence that we've told you to pass. Read this off verbatim. Done. And people like, I don't know, Enoch, a really good teacher, ends up going to jail and spending Christmas in jail. You know? Our entire criminal justice system is in tatters. But then it's not. It's not in tatters at all. It's working. It's got a bit fresh. I've got no air, you know, and no heating on. So you've got this lovely guy, principal guy, you know, that just wants to teach kids, you know, look, this is life. I don't know what subject he was teaching. I don't know. But whatever he was doing, I think he was doing well. You know, I think his intentions were right. I think as a teacher, if you I'm trained to teach, but not like him. I'm trained to teach adults a subject at entry level. It's nothing. It's pathetic. It's a pathetic qualification. Whereas he is qualified to teach kids at the most important stage of their life. Well, because he didn't cave in to this woke, crazy, fucked up nonsense, he's going to be spending Christmas in prison. You know? What the fuck? Fucking hell. Yeah, I know, Mike. Yeah, the whole wank bank thing was a bit too much. I got a bit carried away there, mate. But hey, apparently the right side of your mind is a creative side, right? So apparently I'm quite a creative guy. So I think saying something as kind of as wank bank, you know. I mean, I ended up saying that to a workmate once who was just kind of, oh man, it's a long story. Yeah. Lots of things can be taken out of context. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, going back to our judicial system, it's completely corrupt and fucked up. And you only have to look back at the fact that Starmer was head of CPS, you know, and you know, and then his connections with Jimmy Savile, and then all you need to do is look at Jimmy Savile, and then look at all of the people that branched off him, you know, and then look at the people that branch off them. And it's quite a rabbit hole. It really is. Oh, man. You see, and us in our age group, we the cleanup crew. Because this will turn around. It will. It does annoy me when I look into other people's channels and other people's like comment sections and stuff, and I see comments like "we're done," and I'm like, people like that really fucking get on my tits. And the term "boil my piss," I actually see as a positive thing now, because I know that boiling my piss will create pure water. So I need to find something else that makes me angry to describe. But yeah, there are a lot of very, very defeatist people out there that are just looking at things like that, and that's pretty much the kind of angle that they've got at us, you know. War, death, the threat of another pandemic, blah, 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 blah. And it gets into most people's heads. But it's inevitable that we will pull through this. We will. I think if you take enough time out to give yourself a breather and then mull things over, you'll start to realise that there were just far too many variables for them to calculate. You know, even if they've got some mad fandangled, well, that's an old school term. I'm old school. I'm a traditionalist. Some mad fandangled computer that can figure shit out. No, nothing can predict an entire world full of the most complex beings that, as far as we know, this world has ever seen. So, but it again, I know I keep going on, you know, but it does mean that they're going to go in hard and heavy. You know, we're looking at massive things. You know, they've got to outdo the Twin Towers, and then they've got to outdo it again, and then they've got to outdo it again. You know? But this is, all the more reason to just keep prepping. Just keep, again, it's about balance. You can't eat that. And you can't eat copper. You can't eat gold. So it's about taking time out to take a proper step back so you can see the peripheral, right? And again, going back to meditation, it's not woo-woo, it does help, right? All of the answers that you need will come to you if you're alone, completely alone, without any distractions, and listening to people that resonate with you. Right, we need to bring this down to a close, because what I don't want to do is keep doing And I know that I've not been doing many videos recently, and I've got my reasons, you know. Yeah, I've got my reasons, as I'm sure some of you can. Yeah, and it gives us more to talk about on the live streams. But I will try and do a few more videos, you know. But please think about your finances. Try and think about any tangible assets that you've got that will help with the buffer zone, because it's all about that buffer zone. The bigger the buffer zone that you can create, the more time you've got to think about how you're going to go moving forward. But never ever create, say, a year buffer zone and think, I don't need to think about anything. I don't need to think about shit now because I've got a fucking year. If you start thinking about everything when it all kicks off from moment dot, you'll thrive, not just survive. Yeah, just know that, because it's true. It is. It's true. You know, it doesn't matter where you look. You're seeing a lot of very trusted people saying, "Get your money out of fiat. Just leave just enough to pay your bills, and then work on if you can. Just do what you can. Just do what you can. And if anyone's struggling with any aspect of trying to prepare moving forward, I've got an email address. It's there. You know, it's in the more. When you click on more, it will show you my email address. We'll come up with something. We will. We'll find a way. There's always a way. I guarantee it. There's always a way. You know. So don't let this world get you down. Don't let the bastards get you down, because there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. You just need to have faith in yourself. Do you think a military coup is possible? Not in this country. In fact, Michael, to be honest with you, I don't think a military coup will happen in any Western country. I think it'll come from the people. They'll be completely organic. But then I think certain elements of the army, the British Army, will kind of join, you know, and add to it. But no, I don't think a military coup will happen. I think it will be a revolution first, and then they'll join in. But I can't even tell you. Not over here. Anyway, so enjoy your weekend, and you can just try and ease up on the research and ease up on the rabbit holes and give yourself a bit of breathing space. You know, get yourself out into the local park if you're in the middle of a city, or you know, anywhere that's got green. He says, in autumn, where there's no green. But reverting back to the whole faith thing and the whole misinterpretation of the Bible thing, reflect, self-reflect, look inwards, force all of your faith inwards, because that's where it belongs. It really does. And I think not everyone's going to be able to get where I'm coming from, you know, because I know that I don't make sense to everyone. But when you get where I'm coming from, hopefully you'll start practicing what I'm saying and you'll arrive somewhere close to the truth. I'm nowhere near, but I'm on that journey. So try and have a good weekend regardless, you know. You just know that you're loved and you're appreciated, and thank you for your time. And I'll see you in the next one. Much love and ciao for now.